Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Greater Houston Partnership's 2011 annual meeting. Please rise for the singing of our national anthem, performed by the Salvation Army Harbor Light Choir, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by students representing Cristo Rey Jesuit College Preparatory School of Houston, along with the President and CEO of the Greater Houston Partnership, Jeff Mosley.
See by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we walked were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rang there, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. Wasn't that terrific? Let's give everybody a hand. Please be seated. My name is Jeff Mosley, President and CEO of the Greater Houston Partnership, and on behalf of our Board of Directors, welcome to the Greater Houston Partnership's annual meeting for 2011. We've got a very busy schedule, so let's get started. And again, let's say a huge thank you to the Salvation Army Harbor Lights Choir for their rousing rendition of the national anthem. Gentlemen, you did a great job. Thank you. We also want to say a warm thank you to the students from Cristo Rey Jesuit College Preparatory School for leading us in the pledge. Cristo Rey opened 2009, and they feature this real innovative work-study program where the students spend one day a week working for major employers to pay for part of their tuition. Let's thank our students from Cristo Rey. Thank you so much. The Greater Houston Partnership and our entire region have faced an economic crisis with the same attitude that we face every problem: hard work. Houston was one of the very last regions in America to go into this economic crisis, and may I tell you, we're one of the first to come out of it. So what is the difference between us and most other regions in America? Well, if you believe Joel Kotkin, the difference is opportunity. In a piece that Joel wrote last May, he outlines what makes the Houston region so unique. We're business friendly. And that openness to work with business has really pushed our region out of the worst economic recession that we faced since the Great Depression. Well, there's other factors too. Thanks to our port and our airport systems, we really are a global gateway. And keep your eye on 2014. In just a short 36 months, the Panama Canal will finish its new lane. And this new lane will allow supercargo container vessels into the Gulf. So Houston not only will be the port for Texas's second largest city, which is San Antonio, and the third largest city, which is Dallas, but Houston will serve the entire Midwest from the Rocky Mountains to the Ohio River Valley. And it doesn't end there. We have one of the lowest costs of living in any major metropolitan area. Our quality of life continues to improve, and our workforce, quite simply, one of the best educated and highly skilled in the country. So can we all agree it's great to live right here on the Texas Gulf Coast? Can we all agree it's great to be right here in Houston? And where does opportunity come from? Well, those of us in this room, we know it's no accident. Opportunity is the fruit of hard work. And the good people of the Houston region know all about hard work. 2010 clearly marked a significant progress as we work diligently with other organizations to create this economic prosperity for our region. And as always, we are committed to work with local governments to improve our area. This year, we met with numerous mayors throughout many of the local communities that we represent. We were very proud of our close working relationship with Mayor Anise Parker on a series of issues, including the passage of Prop 1, which is a victory for Houston's aging infrastructure. We worked closely with Harris County and with Judge Ed Emmett on transportation initiatives, and we continue to do so. And Judge Emmett, the Greater Houston Partnership is an ally on which you and Mayor Parker can depend. We will join with you every time there's a fight to grow our tax base by growing jobs and paychecks. Our region's efforts did not go unnoticed, my friends. Publications from all across the country continue to see what we have accomplished right here, and they're giving us high praise. Well, these recognitions include largest 5-year employment gain by the U.S. Census Bureau and the Houston Business Journal, a top U.S. manufacturing city by Manufacturers News, a best city for young professionals by Forbes, best city to start a new career, the Daily Beast, one of the best cities for jobs by Forbes, top destination city by U-Haul International. I think that's one of my very favorite recognitions. When U-Haul says that we're one of the best, then that really means that people are voting with their feet to come into our region. And that means you've really got to stop and listen. People are casting their ballot for our quality of life. As President and CEO, I'm extremely proud of our partnership team and the accomplishments of this past year. We have 80 team members who work hard every day to promote the Houston area. And on a personal note, I want to take this time to say thank you to my colleague and friend, Tracy McDaniel. I first met Tracy when we worked together in the Bush administration. I was heading up the Texas Department of Economic Development, and it's been my professional pleasure to work with her as she served the partnership as our Chief Operating Officer for the last 4.5 years. We weren't entirely surprised when New Jersey's Governor Christie reached out and selected Tracy to be the CEO of Choose New Jersey. Congratulations, Tracy. Thank you for the tremendous job here at the partnership. And while our staff plays a vital role, we certainly would not be nearly as successful without our hard-working board of directors, our hard-working committees, all led by Chairman Oxford. You're going to hear more details in the chairman's report, but I was especially proud of our efforts to respond to the oil spill, and we were fighting every day to get balanced information out about the importance of energy, not only to the local economy, but to our nation's way of life. And we even joined with elected officials from fellow Gulf Coast states and cities to make sure that the federal government included our region in any discussions about energy policy. You know, it would really be easy to sit back and marvel at everything that we've accomplished, but as Houstonians, as Texans, we know we just can't do that. We have to continue to work hard. We can't rest on our laurels. Part of our offense means that we must continue to look to the future. We have an affiliate, the Center for Houston's Future, and through that affiliate, we do just that. And I want to give a special thanks to my colleague, Catherine Mossbacher, the CEO, and the chairman of the board of the center, Kelly Frelds, and the entire center team for the work that they do to position us favorably. Let's thank them. Speaking of the future, I'm excited to be the first to share some of our plans for the upcoming year. This year, we're offering a virtual level of GHP membership. You might call it an e-membership. And this allows e-members to receive access to our members-only section of the website. The e-membership is for those members who can't always be right here in this region to take part in committee meetings or attend some of our events, but who still want to access GHP's wealth of information and strategic data. And that brings me to a second bit of news. I'm very happy to report our members-only section is going to be relaunched this spring. It's going to have a lot of bells and whistles and enhancements that will benefit each of you and the companies that you represent. And keeping on the topic of technology, if you're like me, you're probably exploring the capabilities of your smartphone every day. Well, this quarter, the partnership is going to roll out a new mobile version of our website, houston.org. So yes, on your smartphone, you can put Houston right there at your fingertips, and it will make sure that decision makers like you, nationally and abroad, are right here at home with us. And now for the most important part of my speech, the thank yous. I want to take a moment to say thank you to our members, to you, each and every one of you who are here today, who continue to support our strategy-driven agenda. I especially want to say thanks to those of you who took time to volunteer. Do you know that in this last year we had 2,500 volunteers who logged countless hours and believe in our mission? If you volunteered for the partnership, may I ask you to please raise your hand so we can say thanks to those of you who volunteered? And we also say thanks to those who were doing the hard work, and those two words again were able to accomplish through our volunteers all the heavy lifting. We say thanks to each of you for your financial support, from our board of directors to our GHP ambassadors, our advocates, and everyone in between. 2010 saw the partnership break membership records as well as attendance records at all of our major events. We would not have been able to do any of this without all of you and our dedicated team. So I say thanks again to our team members, our board of directors, our allies, and all of this hard work that came under the chairmanship of Pat Oxford. Chairman, I want to say a special thanks to you for your tremendous dedication and deep love for the Houston region. Chairman Oxford fought and worked in ways that I'll just tell you many of us will never fully know, but always, always because Chairman Oxford wanted a stronger, more globally competitive Houston. Chairman, you've taken the partnership to new heights this past year. You've pushed every one of us, but never harder than you pushed yourself. And Houston and our region is definitely better because of your service as chair of the Greater Houston Partnership. A heartfelt thank you, Chairman. My best friend, my partner, my roommate and wife of 29 years, Jackie, is with us today, and I say to her a heartfelt thank you for all of her support. I love you, darling. And I also want to say thanks to the board for their confidence in letting me serve as CEO and president of the partnership. I'm truly honored and I'm humbled to serve with this great organization. So thank you again for this tremendous recognition and honor to serve as your CEO. Welcome to our 2011 annual meeting. And at this time, I wanted to recognize a member of our executive committee, one of our board leaders, the senior pastor of Windsor Village United Methodist Church, which is the largest Methodist congregation in America, Pastor Kirby John Caldwell for this afternoon's invocation. Pastor Caldwell.
Let's pause and show Jeff some appreciation for all of his hard and productive efforts and productivity. Great job, Jeff. Thank you very much. Since both the Greater Houston area and the partnership have such a strong and unswerving can-do spirit, I like to offer an invocation which is compatible with that spirit. Accordingly, won't you please stand? If you're able, please stand. And this invocation actually will take the form of a blessing. May the Lord God Almighty bless your faith and your family, your finances and your future, today's food and fellowship. Respecting persons of all faiths, I decree this blessing in Jesus' name. Amen. As the Bible says, we can now eat, drink, and be merry.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Greater Houston Partnership would like to take a moment to sincerely thank the elected and appointed officials in our 10-county region for all the work they do on behalf of our community. Because of the strong and dedicated leadership of these officials, our community remains a solid foundation for business, growth, and unlimited opportunity. The Greater Houston Partnership looks forward to working with these officials, especially with the commencement of the 82nd Legislative Session. The Greater Houston Partnership would also like to thank all members of the Consular Corps for the hard work they do in representing their respective countries in Houston. Because of their leadership, we are able to build strong business relationships that help establish the Houston region as a leading gateway to global markets. The Greater Houston Partnership continues to look forward to working with the Consular Corps in the years to come. Would all members of the Consular Corps in the audience today, along with our elected and appointed officials, please rise and be recognized. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Executive Vice President and COO of the Greater Houston Partnership, Tracy McDaniel.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Every day, our members play a significant role in the work and accomplishments of the partnership, especially those at the executive partner level. Our executive partners are AT&T, BP America, CenterPoint Energy, Chevron, ConocoPhillips, ExxonMobil, JP Morgan Chase, Reliant Energy, and Shell Oil. Please join me in thanking them. This is my favorite part. We also want to thank our sponsors for today's event. It's their sponsorship dollars that make events such as these a success and also allow GHP to continue working on your behalf. Today's annual meeting sponsors are, at the platinum level, United Continental; at the gold level, Bank of America and Waste Management; at the silver level, Bracewell and Giuliani, LLP, Memorial Hermann Healthcare System, and Spectra Energy Corp. At the bronze level, Amegy Bank, Andrews Kurth, LLP, Brookfield Properties Corp., Comcast Cable Communications, Inc., Deloitte, El Paso Corporation, Ernst & Young, LLP, Gensler, Haynes & Boone, LLP, Jones Lang LaSalle Americas, Inc., Kroger Company, Landry's Restaurants, Inc., Marathon Oil Corporation, Misher Investments, LP, PricewaterhouseCoopers, LLP, Silver Eagle Distributors, LP, Texas Capital Bank, Houston, Trustmark National Bank, UT Health, and Wells Fargo. I'd like to also thank our staging partner today, who is LD Systems. Please join me in thanking them all. As Jeff mentioned earlier, I'm leaving the Lone Star State for a while. There are many things I'm going to miss about Texas and Houston. But since I'm heading to New Jersey, the first thing that comes to mind is the cold weather in January, the cold weather in February, and the cold weather in March, for example. But of course, the many friends and colleagues, and many of you I consider family in this greater Houston area, I will always cherish. I find it an honor that one of my last official acts in the role at GHP is to introduce this man whom I've worked and enjoyed working with for the past year. The man is the personification of Texas's can-do spirit and the hard work that makes this region so successful. During his long career, he has kept his feet firmly grounded in Texas, but he's had the vision to understand that business is global. While the law is certainly his passion, he has not been timid and has ventured into other arenas with equal success. This man hasn't been consumed by all things work either. He has given generously of his time and talent to serve his community in many capacities throughout his life, most recently as chair of the Greater Houston Partnership. They say that everything is bigger in Texas, and this leader is surely a giant among us. Please join me in welcoming Chairman Patrick Oxford.
Tracy, thank you so much. I want to congratulate you again. Where are you, Tracy?
Over here, over here, over here.
Where I can look at you.
Okay.
Let me congratulate you for being chosen by the governor of New Jersey to be the economic development officer for that entire state. More importantly, though, I wanted to tell you how much we're going to miss you here. We wanted to show you how much the GHP and the Houston region have appreciated your efforts. We have, on behalf of the board, I've got a resolution for you which praises your efforts, thanks you for all you've done, and wishes you the best.
I didn't know about that.
No,
Oh, wow, thank you.
that's the real deal.
So sweet, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Tracy well knows I really enjoyed working with her during her tenure. We'll miss her counsel and her infectious laugh, and we wish her the very, very best. I'm going to give her another applause. She did a great job for us. So let me welcome you to the Partnership's 2011 annual meeting. Before I give my remarks, we do have some business to take care of, the election of the new board. I'd ask those members listed as the 2011 slate of board of nominees to please stand to be recognized. I can't see you very well, but please stand. The nominees for the board membership were solicited from the membership of the partnership. Our nominating committee is responsible for narrowing the list. And then after approval by the partnership's current board, a proxy form was sent out, and we have received back proxies sufficient to elect the board, but let's do this formally. In the program sent to you yesterday and on the screen, we've listed the nominees. Don't see them on the screen, but they're supposed to be listed on the screen. And please know that each member company is entitled to one vote. There they go. And all those in favor, let's have a formal vote. Those in favor of the nominees, please signify by saying aye. All opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the nominees stand confirmed. Please join me in welcoming the new directors of the Greater Houston Partnership. You've already seen the copy of our annual report on your chairs. In short, the report reflects that we had a very, very successful year in 2010. Frankly, the downturn the nation and our region saw in 2008 made last year very tough, very stiff headwind. Try as we might, we still finished that year with a modest deficit. But in 2010, we ran our businesses like most of you did. We did more with less. And I'm pleased to report that even after making up the deficit from 2009, we've completed the 2010 year with a comfortable surplus. We go through that so that you know we're good stewards of the funds that you give us, both for tickets to these events, but also through your membership dues. Thank you very, very much. Now, as you well know, the Greater Houston Partnership is the Houston business community's primary advocate, and our mission is twofold. In the short term, we work to secure regional economic prosperity through job creation, by attracting more capital here and expanding foreign trade. In the longer term, we seek to secure regional economic prosperity through advocacy of good public policy. And as a general matter, because of that, in terms of the long term, we know that the more intelligent our public policy choices are, the more attractive our community will be long term for businesses and jobs to stay here and move here. Looking first at the short term, let's talk about job creation and retention. 2010 saw our region probably turn the corner from a very tough 2009. I say probably, we don't have the final reports from the year, but we do have our last report from the Texas Workforce Commission stating that the Houston region had a net gain of 9,500 jobs year to year, November 2009 to November 2010. Those numbers aren't nearly as good as we're used to. We've enjoyed over the last few years, but it's a clear sign that our efforts are yielding results and that we may have turned the corner on the recession. With respect to job retention, I think our primary efforts involved NASA. With the joint efforts with our congressional delegation and other elected officials, we won the fight to keep the jobs at the Johnson Spacecraft Center. One of the crown jewels of our region, we were able to save 6,000 jobs and stabilize thousands of jobs more. We did that with bipartisan support of the NASA Authorization Act, and it's worth our time, I think, to personally recognize each of the elected officials who really fought to maintain the importance of the Spacecraft Center. That list includes Mayor Parker, of course, City Council Member Mike Sullivan, former County Commissioner Sylvia Garcia did a tremendous amount of work, Senator Kay Hutchison did our heavy lifting in the Senate, and really importantly, our representatives, Pete Olson, Gene Green, Sheila Jackson Lee, Al Green, John Culberson, Ted Poe, they worked together hand in hand. We saw it with our eyes in a bipartisan way to deliver the votes we needed in the House. Thank them for all of their efforts. Additionally, in the job retention area, since the moment of the announcement of the Continental United merger, our leadership has worked closely with the City of Houston and our regionally elected leaders at the local, state, and federal level to urge the new United to maintain and grow its presence here in Houston. And we are confident now that we will see significant job growth and a vibrant Houston presence from United, even though they're moving their headquarters to Chicago, much like ExxonMobil, whose presence here continues to grow and grow, even though its headquarters is technically in Dallas. With respect to capital investments, we had positive efforts in 2010 as well. We directly accounted for $555 million in capital investment in our region last year. This obviously symbolizes great confidence that companies have in our local economy and also gives the GHP confidence that our Opportunity Houston initiative under the leadership of Drayton McLean and Dan Bello is getting the job done. Most of you know that Opportunity Houston is our 5-year marketing program, very ambitious goals of creating 600,000 regional jobs, attracting $60 billion in capital investment, and expanding trade by $120 billion for the greater Houston area by 2015. We're about halfway through the program, halfway through the 10-year strategic plan, and as we meet that halfway mark, I can report that we're ahead of our goals in all three of those categories. In foreign trade, the numbers are up as well. At the end of the third quarter, year-to-year trade was up 27% from last year, exports were up 26%, and imports up 28%. Very, very positive news. Good stuff. Now, talking about public policy, I talked about in the long term, we seek to secure regional economic prosperity long term through advocacy of good public policy. It's obvious that as you advocate good public policy, we're ensuring that our community remains attractive for business, not only now, but in the future. And traditionally, the three most vital components of attracting new business are a superior public education system, first and foremost, efficient infrastructure and mobility systems, and a good quality of life. And I want to confirm the partnership, your partnership, is hard at work on all three of these fronts. In education, we've always had that on the front burner. It's the most important initiative we have because not only is it an issue which affects all of our children, but a quality public education system will help us provide the skilled workforce that competition for jobs demands in this 21st century. So too for infrastructure and transportation. We're very active in advocating improvement of overall infrastructure and mobility. We aligned ourselves with the city, as many of you know, and other organizations to support and pass Proposition 1 to renew Houston. We've pushed hard for the port, which is another one of our crown jewels. In December, our board approved a resolution in support of the Inland Waterways Capital Development Plan, which is an effort to improve the National Inland Waterway Transportation System, which is so important to Houston. Expect us to be very active in advocating infrastructure and transportation issues in the legislative session, which starts today. Quality of life is also critical to us. We have a huge project underway. It's our key project for 2010. It's the Houston Bio Greenway Initiative. It's our partnership with 15 other local organizations to leverage investments we already have in flood control and water quality to provide parks and trails at a fraction of the normal costs all along our 10 major bios. That's going to be quite a project. All of our committees did fantastic work in 2010, and I personally want to thank you as your chairman, outgoing, for all the work that you've done. And I've asked for my committee chairman, if you'd please stand, let's give you a round of applause. We're in your debt. Where are you? Thank you so much. Before I conclude my remarks, I'm compelled to remind you of my comments I made 1 year ago when I became your chairman. Recall that I pointed out that during the last 15 years, the Houston region has grown from being an important regional player to a world-class colossus. And we're no longer just competing on a regional basis. We're competing with cities worldwide. And in this competition, we pointed out, one of our greatest assets continues to be our rich diversity. More than 100 different languages are spoken in homes in Harris County. So we're really a truly global community competing on a global stage. Now, this diversity we have offers us as business leaders a unique challenge and opportunity. And that unique challenge and opportunity I refer to as just this: finding and agreeing on ways that we, in all of our glorious diversity, can work together for the common good. Toward this end, and as we promised at this time last year, the GHP has launched our Common Ground Initiative to do just that. The groups we are working with in our Common Ground Initiative include not only our important regional chambers, but also the Houston Hispanic Chamber, the Houston Citizens Chamber, the Indo-American Chamber, the Asian Chamber, and the South Asian Chambers of Commerce. And together with all of those, we're going to approach all our major chambers of commerce to join us in this effort. And we expect that this time next year, the Common Ground Initiative will be fully operational. The challenge and opportunity of our great diversity must be met by all of us in this region, including our young professionals who will be the future leaders here. 2010 saw us target these young professionals through our HYPE program, Houston Young Professionals Endeavor. For the young people, we want you at the table. We need your ideas. We need your energy. We need your participation. Before I leave, I want to thank some very important people. Judge Jeff Mosley, thank you so much for your fabulous help and support this past year. It's been my great pleasure working with you. And through you, my thanks extends to your entire GHP team. We're clearly a member-driven organization, but it is Jeff's team that facilitates what we do and what we accomplish. I also want to thank my lovely wife, and as she says, her best buddy, my wife Katie Bell, stand up. Although Katie's a full-time writer, she always finds time to support and help me when I need it. Thank you, honey. In closing, I'll leave you today knowing I've saved the best for last, and that would be the person who will succeed me as chairman of the Greater Houston Partnership, Mr. Larry Kellner. Truly, Larry Kellner is one of the finest business leaders I've ever known. And he's certainly one of our most recognized citizens, thanks to those in-flight Continental videos we saw over the years. Frankly, Larry, I rate you somewhere between Yao Ming and Beyonce Knowles, but yeah, you're well known. Larry and his lovely wife, Susan, have both chosen a life of service. Susan is heavily engaged in public education, and Larry continues to serve as a board leader of organizations such as the Boy Scouts of America, nationally, Methodist Hospital, the YMCA of Greater Houston. He's also a new member of Rice University's Board of Trustees. I will say that Houston has no person better suited to serve as chairman of the Greater Houston Partnership than Larry Kellner, and I look forward to seeing what he's going to do with his organization. I'm very optimistic. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our 2011 chairman, Mr. Larry Kellner.
Thank you. Pat, if you could stick around for a minute. First, I want to thank you for those kind words and for recapping your term as chairman for us. And I got to say, congratulations on a very successful year. Before you leave, however, I want to do a couple of tributes, and I need you for both of them. The first one is somebody who's been instrumental in the success of the Greater Houston Partnership for the better part of the last decade. I don't think he knows he's getting this award, though you never know with these big organizations if it somehow leaks out. But Mike Ballasas, could you come up here? You have served GHP in so many capacities as a committee member, committee chair, member of the board, member of the executive committee. And you know, Mike's got a big job as chairman of JP Morgan Chase Houston. He's got a lot to do, yet he always has time. He always puts our members first. He has been huge on the member development side for us, just amazing. In addition, it's not just GHP. He's big at United Way. He is somebody who just makes Houston great. And Mike, we'd like to present you our Lifetime Achievement Award. The second award I need Pat to stay for is because it's for Pat. I want to acknowledge his incredible work. You know, the thing about Pat, and we talked a lot when Tracy introduced him, he's just tireless, and I will tell you, he makes me very nervous as the incoming chairman because he spent about 35 hours a week working on GHP. And it shows. It showed in our results. It shows what they've done. And he truly has gone above and beyond to make Houston a great place. Katie, I also want to thank you because I know how the team works. But I got to tell you, Pat, you have just done a great job and been a great leader. And I know I've got big shoes to fill, so I'll work hard at it. But thank you very much. And I want to present you the Bob Monstead Award. Those are two just fantastic leaders. And I think if you look at the program today and what we talk about as our theme, members make the difference. And I want to thank each of you who are members here for being here and for your participation. You know, I got to tell you, this is a fantastic lunch and transition. When we transitioned the CEO roles at Continental, both when I came in for Gordon and then when I left for Jeff Smisek, we just changed the boarding video. I mean, this is quite a lunch. And I'm delighted that everybody would come out and be here for that. I want to especially thank my fellow board members. I want to thank those of you who've agreed to be committee chairs next year. That's a huge dedication of time. And I'm going to talk a little bit about our focus in a second, but being a committee chair is a huge responsibility. Being a board member, being a member, it all ties together. And I want to especially recognize Tony Chase, if you'll stand. Tony's agreed to be my vice chair next year, and I'm just delighted to have Tony. But we're not, for all the members and all the stuff, we're not any better than we'll be with the staff we've got. Tracy, we'll miss you. New Jersey made a great move. It is cold, in case you haven't checked. It's going to snow tonight, about 15 inches. I would point out I was going to New Jersey tonight to Newark, and they canceled my flight because there's so much snow. And that's sure not Continental's fault, Michelle. They're doing everything they can. But I want to tell you, Tracy, we'll miss you and thank you. But I want to thank Jeff Mosley, our CEO. He does just an awesome job every day. And I know he's got a team of 80 behind him. So let's thank Jeff, Tracy, and the whole team at GHP. And while there's a lot of people to thank because it's a big organization where they are, I've got two more that are critical to me. One, I want to thank Pastor Caldwell for the invocation today, but more importantly, he was on the Continental board with me. He's been my friend for over 10 years. He's incredibly hardworking for Houston and for GHP, as well as leading his church, as well as making sure we've just got a better world to live in. Kirby John, thank you very much. And last on this list, but I can assure you, first, not second, not third, not last, first on the list, last on this list, is my wife, Susan, my partner, who's always there, who always tells me when things aren't quite what I think they are, keeps me on a straight and narrow. I'm grateful for you every day, honey. Thank you. You know, I look around this room, I've got an awful lot of friends. I feel just so proud to be here. And we talked about GHP over the last year as I served as Pat Oxford's vice chairman. And we talked about what we wanted the organization to be. And we came to a couple of key components. We want it to be member-driven, policy-focused, and create prosperity. In fact, if you look at the 2011 work plan, you'll see on the back page, we've changed our slogan to member-driven, policy-focused, create prosperity. Because that's really what GHP is about in 6 words. We couldn't get it down to 2 or 3 or 4. You know, I was used to work hard, fly right, so I was trying to get something that was, you know, worked like that. But member-driven. I've got a lot of opinions. I'm active in public education, but let me assure you, as GHP chairman, my job is to speak for GHP's members. So when you see me speaking here in Houston or over in Austin to the legislature or at Commissioner's Court or wherever I may be, know that I'll be up there advancing the policy driven by our 2,100 members through the board and through the committees. And our committees on a lot of issues spend tireless work to figure out the right policy. And we couldn't do it without the expertise in the groups we get there. And I want to thank our members, and if you're not a member, I want to ask you why not. Because if you're at this lunch and you're not a member, let me tell you, we need you. I was over earlier here at lunch meeting about 3 tables of new members. Welcome to you. We're delighted you're here. But if you're not a member, we need you to join. We'd be happy to talk about the benefits of GHP. But the bottom line is, unlike a lot of organizations, GHP's member-driven, very important commitment. Second, if you look at the little pyramid that's in either the annual report or the plan of work, we talk about policy-focused. What does policy-focused mean? Well, we're going to talk, and Pat talked about education, mobility, and quality of life. And we're going to advocate on those things because if you look at all the research, that's what makes a great community. If you look at the Bayou Greenway Initiative, That's an example of where we're trying to make Houston a better place to live. But we've got to have the infrastructure, we've got to have the trained people. And so when we talk about policy, we're talking about advancing policy not just in those areas. I can tell you with the medical center here, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, healthcare policy is important. There's a lot of places where we've got to focus on a broader swath of policy. But the core will be, how do we make sure we've got the right education in place, the right transportation structure? That's not just roads, that could include metro, it includes the rail we do, the bus service, it all has to tie together. And we've got to be supportive of making a community that works. And when you talk about creating prosperity, there's two pieces to that. There's economic development today, and then there's a long-run prosperity that's candidly driven by public policy. If you look at our Technology Infrastructure Committee, working with Microsoft and Spaghetti to try to really make this a technology hub in the United States. And we've got a lot of tools here when you look at what goes on in our medical center, what goes on in our universities. And so, but it takes that organization from the business community to tie it together. They often talk about why Stanford's so successful is it hasn't just developed the folks, it's built the business infrastructure around it in the Silicon Valley. We're doing a lot of those same things down around the medical center, around nanotechnology and other areas, but we've got to continue to work to advance this as a high-tech hotspot as well, and I want to thank our Technology Infrastructure Committee for all the work they do that, but it's partnering with other companies, really pulling it together that makes a difference. So if you take that, that's our base, we're going to be member-driven, policy-focused, creating prosperity. What do we work with? There's two pieces. There's the strategy, and I'll be the first to tell you why, flattery and is driven by imitation. Pat Oxford set this out right last year. We've got crown jewels in Houston. What are crown jewels? NASA and the Johnson Space Center. And candidly, when he said that a year ago, I said, yeah, it's kind of like NASA's always been here and always will be here. And then we got a scare a couple of weeks later when the president's budget basically downsized NASA dramatically. And I can tell you, Pat and Jeff and Tracy and our legislative team, and Pat went through that. I just got to watch as the vice chair. They worked tirelessly to make sure those 6,000 NASA jobs stayed here. And while I will tell you nothing's ever perfect, I couldn't have come up with a much better solution. I take my hat off. But we are very lucky. And for those who are affiliated with NASA and the Johnson Space Center, thank you for the contribution you make to this community. When we talk about strategic assets, NASA's the one that nobody else has. We've got that right here, and I tell you, it's a great benefit. While a lot of cities have medical centers, we got the world's largest medical center. And the research and the innovation and what goes on down there is just amazing. And we've got a lot of changes going on in this country with the healthcare law, and it's going to create a lot of change. And GHP is going to be there and keep its focus, support the Texas Medical Center, but it's clearly one of our 5 crown jewels. Then we've got the Port of Houston. With the canal being widened in 2014, yet another great opportunity for Houston to grow and continue to evolve and become one of the world's leading ports. So we've got all this coming together, but you've also got to have 2 other elements, which we've got. You've got to have a great airport system. I'd say I'm incredibly proud of the Houston airport system. I know a lot about it from my days at Continental. We've still got work to do. For instance, at IAH, we got Terminal E done, and Terminal C has been remodeled, a lot of work done in Terminal D and Terminal A. But we got to get construction going this year, I hope, working with United on Terminal B, because it's the one old terminal out there that needs a lot of work. We got Hobby redone, and so we have made great progress, but we've still got things to do, and we'll push, because it's that critical infrastructure in the airport system that makes a difference. Then if you look finally at our universities, I'm extremely proud to be a Rice trustee, but I will tell you, whether it's the University of Houston, St. Thomas University, we have got a number of great universities here in Houston, and they, working together with the business community, really provide us the support, expertise we need to go forward, and we've got to protect that system. And so while other cities will have universities or have medical centers, our combination of NASA, the medical center, the Port of Houston, the airport system, and our university system are true strategic advantages that we've got to work going forward. So if you ask, you say, okay, that's the strategy, what are the tactics? Well, I think the big tactics, and I think it's pretty obvious well before yesterday, but yesterday's announcement confirmed it, Texas has got some budget challenges. It's going to have substantially less revenue than we would need to keep services at current levels. And while there'll be some debate about whether that number is $15 billion or $25 billion, We've got the revenue estimate out there. When we see the Legislative Budget Board and we see kind of the first pass at the budget, we'll get a better feel for what it takes to keep services at current level. But there is no question that we don't have as much money as it's going to take to keep services at current levels by a wide margin. And when you think about taking $15 million out of a $90 billion or $95 billion budget, that is huge on a percentage basis and huge on the impact, because if you look at the things in there, there's a lot of things that really don't easily move, like our costs of prisons, our Medicaid match dollars, our core education dollars. And so we're going to have to be very smart about how we work through this legislative session. And so our focus here isn't to go in and suggest we need lots of new programs or lots of new opportunities. But we are going to fight hard to protect things we think are really important and important for the long term. We're going to fight to protect pre-K funding at current levels. We're not looking for an increase, but those are dollars that every study shows. GHP's been a long-time advocate of pre-K. The dollars have about a 3-to-1 payback. And so we're going to fight to keep the current dollars. Lori Vetters and our pre-K committee did great work this year in trying to figure out where we were, what were the right strategies. Again, we're not looking to grow the program. We just think that's the wrong place to cut. We're going to be very focused on maintaining the levels we can of educational quality in K-12. We'll look for creative solutions to get dollars out. We know we've got to be more efficient, but I can tell you K-12 education is extremely important to the state if you look at our development where we are. In the Welcome Wilson and I were talking earlier, Welcome Wilson Sr., in the U of H budget, only about 1 in every $12 of their state funding really goes towards Tier 1. So U of H knows they're going to have to look at their budget and make some changes. We're going to work hard to protect the $25 million component that's helping them stay on the path to Tier 1. I personally think U of H is a lot closer, I'm not talking next year, but 3, 4, 5 years out, to getting to Tier 1 status than people realize. And it'll make a huge difference, a huge difference. Texas only has 3 Tier 1 universities today: UT Austin, Texas A&M, and Rice. U of H needs to be in that club. We're going to work hard to help them get there over the long term. Next is the continued construction of Grand Parkway. I want to thank Harris County Judge Ed Emmett, who's here today, all the commissioners of Harris County. Just this morning, they voted to turn the Grand Parkway pieces over to TxDOT. TxDOT's got a plan to get that moving forward. That's critical for developing our infrastructure. I think it's very impressive to watch the way the commissioners, Judge Emmett and TxDOT are working together. I have huge respect for what TxDOT with Ned Holmes helps doing, and Ned, we thank you for your service and what you're trying to do there. Judge, we thank you, we thank all the commissioners, but getting the Grand Parkway going. And so as we go to the legislative session, we're not looking for dollars to do Grand Parkway, we're simply looking to make sure that nothing happens that gets that plan with TxDOT off track, that nothing happens that's going to stop that from moving forward, because it's critical. We don't know, moving on, what the issues are going to be in the Texas Medical Center in this legislative session, but there's an awful lot of research and a lot of innovative things that go on at Texas Medical Center. We're going to be there working hand in hand with Dr. Winerty, the entire team at the Medical Center. Larry Kaiser is going to chair our healthcare committee. We're going to focus on making sure we get the support in the state to continue the growth and continue the excellence that the Medical Center provides. And finally, we're going to watch the Texas Enterprise Fund. You know, again, as you have a tough budget year, you often look for things to cut that kind of won't be noticed or won't show up short term. Unfortunately, many of those are the things that provide the most long-term benefit. And so we're going to stay focused on Texas Enterprise Fund. That has allowed business to grow in Texas. It's important, allows us to move forward. So as you look at that list, you look at the crown jewels, and then you take it down to the tactical level, you might wonder, where'd that tactical level come from? Well, we rolled it out earlier in the year at our legislative dinner. It was all member-driven, came out of the committees. The pre-K committee is the perfect example, where they worked for months with a lot of differing views to find a common philosophy and move forward. I also want to thank Pat Oxford, because he's chairing, as he mentioned, Common Ground, which is our initiative to work far outside of GHP, because what we find is you're much more successful when you speak with a unified voice than when you've got a lot of different parties taking slightly different views. As we all know, it requires us to compromise, but when you can get a unified voice, you can be much more effective. Pat, I appreciate your willingness to chair nominating to chair Common Ground and continue to work for the partnership. But I think it's really that collective voice that comes back to, how do you get the members involved? How do you drive it from the members? So in conclusion, member-driven, policy-focused, creating prosperity. Sounds simple, doesn't it? We all know it's not that simple. It'll take hard work from everybody in this room. It'll take vision, but most importantly, it takes you. Before I conclude today, I want to again extend two invitations. First, if you're not a member and you're here today, why not? Come join us. We'd love to have you. I'm inviting you to join Houston's premier business organization. There are too many benefits for me to list, but please learn more about GHP and consider joining us. Again, when we speak with a unified voice, we're all stronger. We need your input. I need your input. We want it. Second, if you remember anything that I've said today, I hope that you'll remember that you, the members, make the difference. It's your input, it's your hard work, it's your vision. These are the things that will fuel the great engine that is the Greater Houston Partnership. I'm pleased to be your new chairman. I'm thrilled to be here today. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now I want to bring back up we're so fortunate to have our CEO, Jeff Mosley, who's going to close the meeting for us. Jeff?
Wow, Chairman, thank you, Chairman Kellner. We look forward so much to your leadership. If I may just say once again, thanks to our sponsors that made the lunch possible. And we wanted to make sure that Blue Lance and Cisco were recognized. I think they're on the slide. We wanted to call them out. And our production partner today is Vision Production Group. So let's say thanks again to our sponsors. Thank you. You make the difference. Let's go and make 2011 a great year.